we asked people to describe their real estate taxes. We asked them, are your real estate taxes far too high, a little too high, just about right, or would you like to pay more? We found that 47% of New Yorkers, 46% of upstaters said my real estate taxes are far too high. 28% said a little too high, slightly higher there upstate at 32. About 22%, 1 out of 5, say my taxes are just about right. We did find 1%, whether across the state or here upstate, who were willing to say that I think I'd like to pay a little bit more. Once again, the reaction to real estate taxes was far and away greater in the suburbs, Long Island, in the Westchester area. There, 63% of respondents, remember I said 47% across the state said far too high. In the suburbs area, we find that 63% say my real estate taxes are far too high. So again, we see a difference in what really ends up being almost a quality of life issue between our friends in the New York City suburbs and the way our life is here. We went further and we said, we're going to give you two different statements about real estate taxes. Which one comes closer to your position? First statement was, I may not like to pay them, but I feel good about contributing financially to the needs of my community. That was statement one. Statement two, I pay my taxes because I have to. I'm not convinced the money is well managed or efficiently used. So we call that type of question a forced choice question. And we ask people to decide which of those two positions is closer to how you feel. We found that about a 2-to-1 ratio, 64% of people chose the second statement, that they feel as though they pay their taxes because they have to, but they have doubts about whether or not the money is well managed and or efficiently utilized. About 1/3 of people say, of course I don't like to pay them, but I have this sense of connection to my community that overrides that, and I feel good on some level that I'm contributing towards my community. Again, we see that the negative reaction to, or the concern over some respondents as to whether or not their taxes are being well managed and efficiently used is greater in the suburbs at 69%, upstate is 65%. And on an issue that we at SRI have polled before, that being whether or not there should be in New York State a cap on the rate at which property taxes can increase. We found in this particular survey, 76% of all New Yorkers argue for there being a cap on the rate at which property taxes can increase. 83% of property owners, and still 66%, 2 out of every 3 people who don't currently own property, support a cap on the rate of increase of property taxes. Little variation by region. Upstate, that number is 84%. In the suburbs, 82%. What about those people who currently don't own a home? Of those that don't own a home, about 1 in 5, 21%, say they intend to purchase a home within the next couple of years. That number is greater amongst younger people and amongst those people that are currently, as a household, making $100,000 a year or more, of whom about 43% say they intend to purchase within the next couple years. What barriers exist to home ownership at this point? Well, we asked the entire sample that question. When we did that, the entire sample felt as though the down payment was the most significant barrier, followed by qualifying for a loan, then finding the right home, and a small but significant group said the closing costs. Amongst those people who do not own a home, far and away the most significant barrier that they express to home ownership currently is qualifying for a loan. 35% of those who don't currently own a home said that's the problem, followed by 26% at the down payment. Now, we also asked people whether you think that at this point in time you have to have 20% of the cost of a home in order to whether you have to have 20% as a down payment. And we found that the conception is among 74% of all New Yorkers, 68% of those that don't own a home, that you must have 20%. So we see that there's a conception of a barrier in terms of the size of the down payment. Simultaneously, there's concern amongst those people who don't currently own a home as to whether or not they can qualify for a loan or not. They agree that buying a home is a major decision. 86% say that buying a home can be the most important decision a person or a household makes. Location, 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 that's the most important part of a home buying decision according to 85%. And 66% of all New Yorkers, 70% of renters say, you know what, it's a little bit frightening to buy a home. There are so many unknowns. So there is concern. There's concern over being able to afford it, and there's concern with how large a decision this is. Still, we found that when asked to respond to a statement about the help that realtors could offer, a small plurality, 47% agreed that I wouldn't even consider trying to buy a home without a realtor. That's higher amongst those people who don't currently own a home. We asked another issue question, not just of people who don't own a home, but of all respondents. Do you support or oppose a tax incentive to assist buyers save for and pay those real estate closing costs? Again, we found majority support amongst New Yorkers for that potential initiative, 55%. 63% of those who don't currently own a home support that initiative. So clearly, there is support, much more so amongst those people who don't own a home currently, for governmental intervention to assist them to be able to qualify, afford, and to afford the house once they're in it. A couple of things that we found when we asked people about what are you looking for in a house within the four walls, and this one surprised me a little bit. The number one thing that people said they were looking for within the four walls of a house was ample closets. I know I fight for closet space, but that was number one, followed by a garage, a newer roof, and an updated kitchen. In terms of what people are looking for in a location, and this is one that, maybe you got to file this under. People sometimes are hard to please. We found that overwhelmingly, 75% said it's very, very important to me that there is ample police and fire protection in the location that I choose. 68% said very important that I have good schools. But number three was 57% saying I want a low tax rate. So the perfect location would be one, according to respondents, in which we had high quality public services, high quality education, and low tax rates. Now clearly that would be a good location. So I'd like to turn it over to Hank now to get his comments on what he and the folks at NYSAR feel we learned from the survey. So Hank?